Joining us now, Dr. William Schaffner, professor of the Division of Infectious Diseases at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and Dr. Darria Long, emergency physician in the University of Tennessee Health System. Dr. Schaffner, historically, it has taken years to do human clinical trials and get vaccines approved. For polio, for instance, in the 1950s, it took about 3 years. It took about that long for rubella. That vaccine in the 1960s, it took 2 years for mumps. Many take much longer. So does it give you pause when a company says it can guarantee a safe vaccine within months?
Well, they can't guarantee it. They have to demonstrate it. And yes, we're all skeptical. We're looking at the data, but the technology is different today. And this vaccine is being built on the basis of technology that's been explored before. So we do have a lot of safety data on the basis of vaccines that were made in a very similar way and have gone through clinical trials. So we're not cutting corners here, but we have the capacity today to move faster.
That feels good to hear, that's for sure. Dr. Long, I wanted to ask you about something we heard from Dr. Fauci at the town hall on Thursday. He issued a pretty scary warning about many things that can go wrong when testing a vaccine. Let's listen to that.
To just say, I have a vaccine, throw it into people, what people don't appreciate, because they're so attent to getting a vaccine quickly, is that there could be deleterious negative effects of enhancement of infection.
Dr. Long, I have read that most vaccine attempts fail. If that is the case, how far along in the process does it take a company to determine this product works and is safe?
Ana, you're exactly right. For all of the vaccine candidates that may exist, very few will actually make it to market. That's why we have all these different phases of trials. That's why I think it's a very wise idea for us to invest in a number of different options and definitely not put all of our eggs in one basket so that we can be sure that something will be able to come to market. I do think that a number of companies are doing something that is wise that they mentioned in the packet ahead of time, and that is manufacturing at risk. That means they're going ahead to determine, let's figure out how to manufacture this vaccine before we know which one will actually work. It's a financial risk, but it's going to save us a lot of time in actually getting, once we figure out what works, getting it to market.
Dr. Schaffner, the people in Moderna's trial are getting injected with this vaccine that has not been previously tried out in animals. They got permission from the NIH to do that. But how unusual is it for a vaccine to be tested on humans without first being tested on animals?
Well, mind you, Anna, this company has used very similar vaccines in other circumstances, and the FDA is using the safety data that has been garnered before to permit this vaccine to go forward in people. If it hadn't been used before, I don't think they would have done that. They would have gone through animals first. But that work has been done previously using other vaccines that are created in an entirely similar way.
Dr. Long, what do you think? Would you feel comfortable being injected with that vaccine? I mean, I know that one of the potential risks is that a vaccine that's in development could actually make a virus worse, makes the symptoms worse. And that's how, when you realize, okay, this is the vaccine that we're not going to use, obviously. But isn't that the whole reason for doing animal trials first?
Well, that's the whole reason why we have this series of clinical trials and the way that we typically do it. As Dr. Schaffner mentioned, this is technology that has existed before, and we're in the setting of a pandemic, which means that we may not follow the exact same protocols that we have before, but I think we need to be very careful about that. We need to not cut corners in a way that's a knee-jerk or emotional way. We need to do so in a very systematic way to weigh the costs and benefits so that we don't, to your point, inject people with something that is risky and end up with some deleterious consequences. I think we need to do that for two reasons. One, we need to make sure that the vaccine that comes to market is safe and it is effective. And secondly, we need to make sure that our population can trust this vaccine so that they're willing to go ahead and get it. That's just as important.
Dr. Schaffner, the World Health Organization says 102 potential coronavirus vaccines are in development around the world. 8 of the potential vaccines are already approved for clinical trials. Is it possible we could end up with more than one vaccine?
Well, exactly as Dr. Long has said, we're not putting our eggs all in one basket. There are scientists around the world trying to develop vaccines using a variety of different technologies. It's a little bit of a race, and we hope that a number of them are successful. And apropos of taking vaccines as a volunteer, I can tell you I've been a vaccine volunteer in a number of different vaccine trials. There are a lot of people who are willing to do that, fully informed that there might be some risk.
Dr. Schaffner, let me just come back to you, though, for a second, because you have talked about how the technology being used and this vaccine had sort of a head start in some ways. How long will it take, do you think, before we know that there is some efficacy here? Even if it's not, you know, all the way through the process, at what part in the process do you get that kind of aha moment?
The aha moment comes after the largest trial in which you have a group of people who got the vaccine, a group of people who did not. They received a placebo. You don't know who's who. You watch them for a period of time, and then you see who got sick and who didn't, and then you have the big reveal. Now, I'm not close to this to this trial, so I don't know the exact timeline, but we've heard that it might have information really by late this fall, early winter.
Dr. Long, do you believe the coronavirus is going to be like the flu in that vaccine effectiveness will vary year to year? For example, a flu shot might be 60% effective one year and then less than 20% another year.
So Ana, that is something that we're all looking at. It does not seem that the COVID virus mutates at exactly the same speed as flu, which could be a very good thing. But to that point also, there are some pharmaceutical companies that are aiming to create a vaccine that may be just effective for a year or two, with the thought being that if you do that, it's easier to make that vaccine. It can get us to market faster. And at least that puts us a year or two ahead, and then we can be developing the next solution with time and get back to normal sooner.
Dr. Darria Long and Dr. William Schaffner, it's really great to have you both here. We appreciate your experience and expertise on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.